and more with a single kick. It was Lie, who angrily asked who allowed them to touch his punching bag without permission. The blonde asked the guy who he was. One of his friends told him that he had heard that they had a new guy transferring in today. The blonde guy said out loud, "It's just a new guy? Is he crazy?" Leon smiled, rolled up his sleeves, and said that if he was planning on just talking, he would probably start by himself. The blonde called him a bitch, pulled out a folding knife and said, "Isn't it time to bring him down to earth?" Just then, from around the corner came an elderly teacher with a pointer and rectangular glasses. He shouted at them, asking what they were doing there. The blonde scratched the back of his head and said it was just the new kid asking to show him around the school. Now he would show him the gym. He then whispered to Leon that they would talk next time. The teacher turned around and lastly told them not to make trouble right after vacation. Everyone started to disperse, and the blonde man told Hanel that he would go with them to the abandoned building after school. That was how he would see Gang Dae-chun. In the evening, in the small office of the self-defense for women teacher, Leon says the punching bag is late today. Something was wrong. The teacher replied that if he was so worried, why not go and check? The kid said it's not like he's crazy. If it was at school, he would just use the teacher to avoid a fight, but if he is spotted in a street fight, he will only dream of the greatest mixed martial arts tournament ever. The teacher said this could end badly, and the guy asked him, "Is there really a student in this world he is worried about after all?" The man asked who said he was worried about him. The guy didn't understand and asked what did he mean. The teacher looked at him and asked, did he really think Hanul really couldn't hit him at all? He'd seen plenty of counterattacks from him, he just hadn't put any power into them at all. So why was he limiting himself? The boy answered that, of course, because he was stronger. The man waved his head negatively and suggested that he should think for himself. While he drives his car here every day, he walks uphill on his own 2 feet to get here. While he's chilling, the kid is working out to the point of exhaustion. The real reason is because he's not mad at him at all. He's not the type of person who just wants to be the strongest. People like him can't fight at full strength without a reason. His movements are purely instinctive. In other words, as long as he's in his right mind, you can't expect anything from him in battle. The guy got angry and asked, what does that mean? Did he mean that if he was made angry, he would suddenly become stronger than him? The teacher raised his hand to calm the guy's ardor and said that he wasn't quite right. Of course, their level of training is still very different, but if not for a fair fight in the ring, there are plenty of things that can replace a fist. He doesn't know how this is going to end, but he thinks a couple of these bandits could very well meet their maker tonight. How many bandits do they have in this town, by the way? He's really worried about the poor victims that he'll catch sight of. Leon asked, he's not going to fight on the first day of school, is he? The building is a multi-story abandoned building. The guys are walking up the stairs and Hanel is the last one to go, thinking why doesn't he feel any fear at all? Even more so when he looks at them, he just wants to kill every last one of them. But every time that thought crosses his mind, one of the guys informs him that they're at the location. Gang Dae-chun is waiting for him. He went inside and saw a large number of guys all over the room, and on one mattress there was a girl in a school uniform lying on top of her with one guy hovering over her. Every time he's in a situation like this, it gets so exciting. A bloodthirsty smile appeared on his face. He thought that Gang Dae-chun was walking the one behind everyone. Just then, a girl with tears in her eyes screamed for him to save her. He looked at her and remembered how his friend had called out to him when she was still pinned to the ground. The guy who was now holding the girl laughed at the fact that she was asking the errand boy to help her. He called her a stupid bitch and added that asking for help should be asked of those who were stronger. What could she expect from a loser like him? They are both just insects. Hanel kicked him in the face so that several of his teeth fell out and he fell unconscious. All the others were surprised and grabbed knives and sticks. Hanel shouted for Gang Dae-chun to come out, but the blonde guy yelled for them to kill the bastard. Everyone ran toward the guy, but there was a pile of bricks next to him, and he grabbed one of them. He lunged forward, and with a single blow of the brick he knocked the boy back. Just then the second one swung and hit Hanel in the head, but it broke against him. The guy looked at his opponent with a bloodthirsty look and sealed him in the cheek with a brick. The next one jumped on top of him, holding a bottle in his hand, but Hanul only tossed the brick and it broke the glass bottle. Then he jumped and kicked the thug's stomach. The one flew off, slammed his back into the blonde man, and they both fell to the floor. The blonde called Hanul a son of a bitch, but he stepped on his chest with all his might. The rest of the thugs, seeing this, didn't realize what had become of this guy. They sent everything and ran out of there. Only Hanul and the man who had been sitting at a table in the shadows of the room all this time remained in the room. Hanul, with blood dripping down his arms, walked over, calling out to Gangdae-chun. Bringing up his hand with his fist, he was ready to strike, but at the last moment someone shouted at him to stand and asked him not to hit him. It was a crying Taeshik with a cell phone in his hands. He began to explain that the others had ordered him to film his beating. He was just doing as they said. Hanul got angry, pounded his fist on the table, and yelling, asked where Gangdae-chun was. Just then the blonde man lying on the floor started coughing. Hanul turned around and walked over to him, asking the same question. The guy replied that he didn't know. Hanul noticed a brick near his feet and picked it up. He then stepped on the guy's chest and asked again, "Where is he?" The guy panicked but replied that how would he know? Hadn't he heard that the guy had dropped out of school? Hanul got even more angry and wanted to hit the guy with a brick, but it was knocked out of his hands. It was Leon who, smirking, told him to calm down. Hanul gritted his teeth and said that if he interfered he would also die. Leon punched him in the stomach with all his might with his fist, causing him to fly back against the wall, and then pinned him with his foot. He angrily added that he told him to calm down. The kid asked him yes what he knew, but Leon replied that he knew where Dai-chun was. Hanul jumped up and started asking where is the guy. He told the guy to tell the story briskly, and pointed his fist in his direction. But Leon got excited and started attacking too, and said it was even more fun that way. When their fists were already close to each other, their teacher appeared between them and blocked both of their fists at once, smirked and said that Gangdae-chu was participating in the greatest teenage martial arts tournament. Breathing heavily, Hanul asked why Gangdae-chun had gone to this tournament. What did the teacher have in mind? But then he just collapsed to the floor. A man managed to pick him up. Leon asked if this punching bag was dead. The teacher looked at him and told him not to worry. He had just been in a state of rage for too long, so he fell asleep from exhaustion. The teacher's small office. His niece standing by the couch where Hanul was sleeping with his head bandaged. The man noticed that he was really sleeping a lot. The girl asked if he was all right. With a slight smile on his face, the teacher replied that the hospital said he was fine, so don't let her worry. Still, why is she so interested in this guy? It's all a little weird. She even moved closer to go to the same school as him. If his memory serves him right, in her eyes all guys were just pathetic creatures who only pay attention to looks.